Hello and welcome to the news at 6. I'm Ishan Russell, and over the next half hour, we'll update you on the stories that have been developing through the day. Today, our focus is on the sudden sacking of the DRDO chief. Why did that happen? We'll talk about that a little later in the show, but first up, the headlines we're tracking right now. DRDO chief Avinash Chandra sacked well ahead of his end of his tenure. Government justifies the move as the need to bring in young people into defence research. The Congress returns to Bhatta Parsol to kick off its revival plan, holds Farmer Mahapanchayat to lash out at government over the added ordinance on land acquisition. Global oil prices in a tizzy, drops to nearly $45 a barrel, the lowest in 6 years. UAE says OPEC will not slash output in the face of waning demand. Supreme Court questions government's targets on Ganga cleanup on a day when over 100 bodies are sighted floating on the river's surface. And Makar Sankranti, the harvest festival celebrated across the country under various names, Pongal, Bihu and more. Well, our top story tonight, the government today removed DRDO chief and top missile scientist Avinash Chandra 16 months before his contract was to end. Now, the defence minister justified the move, saying a younger person or someone not on contract should hold the post. Chandra's contract had been extended less than 2 months ago.
An order from the Appointments Committee of the Cabinet saying Avinash Chandra's contract would terminate on the 31st of January, a good 16 months before it was due to end. It was up on the Department of Personnel and Training website before Chandra was informed, triggering speculations. Chandra himself claimed he had no idea it was coming as the Defence Minister put forward justifications.
DRDO chief का जो टेन्योर था वो नॉर्मली उनका नवंबर में खत्म हुआ था, लेकिन जो पहले जो कैबिनेट ने अप्रूवल दिया था उसमें 3 बरस का पीरियड कहा था और 3 बरस पीरियड रिटायर होने के बाद कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पे चालू रहेगा. I said a very senior position should not be on contract. There are so many who are eligible. उनमें से कोई तो लेके आए, तो there is no controversy. I don't want someone on a contract on a senior post.
Scientists are stunned, but the cold vibes were visible for some time. In August, the DRDO was slammed for delays and cost overruns in key military programs. Prime Minister Modi had said potential was being held back by a chalta hai attitude. Chandra had been snubbed with his request for extension for 4 senior scientists turned down. The case is fodder enough for political back and forth.
DRDO and other critical defense establishments cannot be trifled with in this manner. There has to be a certain amount of sensitivity in dealing with these organizations.
The Defence Minister have repeatedly said whatever will be done to strengthen India's security requirements and also to modernize armed forces. As it's evident, we are talking about Make in India and trying to bring manufacturing through the FDI route. There has also been a lot of newspaper and media reports about a lot of delays, cost overruns with DRDO. The government is the appropriate authority to decide on this.
Avinash Chandra had gained the name of Agni Man for leading the long-range Agni missile series. He was also the scientific advisor to the Defence Minister and the main person for all defence technology issues. A replacement for him will be picked from among top DRDO scientists. Curiously, the top post for another scientific body, the ISRO, is also lying vacant. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
All right, and we're joined by Commodore Uday Bhaskar. He's a renowned security analyst and a defense analyst. Thank you very much for coming in, sir. Just to understand, why? What was the sudden need? I mean, how is the entire, does it hurt the DRDO in any way, its performance? And what do you make of this move? Because it's quite sudden. A lot of people are just wondering why such a sudden move.
Well, I think this decision and the way in which it has been brought into the public domain has caused a lot of surprise and consternation, I think both within the defense establishment as also in the country at large. We just heard the defense minister saying that he felt it was not appropriate to have somebody as a consultant in a very senior position. Now, I think that is a perfectly valid position for a minister to take, especially since the defense minister has recently assumed charge. But at the same time, the manner in which Dr. Avinash Chandar's services have been terminated is graceless. And I'm afraid it reeks of a certain shabbiness in terms of how the government, the current government, the Modi-led government, is dealing with these senior positions. Because now to link it with the organization, what has been suggested is that the defense minister and the government wanted to induct fresh blood as far as DRDO is concerned. That again is a perfectly, I would say, valid observation. But this was not the way, I think, to be done, or the way in which this particular objective will be realized. Because by terminating Dr. Chandar's services in this manner, when the same government, let it not be forgotten, in November of last year, had given him the equivalent of an extension till 2016. So if you put this whole thing together, Ishan, my sense is that while the need for institutional review of DRDO, which is what the Prime Minister had indicated when he visited DRDO, is something which is very, very appropriate and imperative, getting Dr. Avinash Chandar to resign or terminate his services in this manner, I think, is both shabby and graceless.
All right, but I mean, Commodore, also the other thing that is being said is, I mean, this is not the first time the head of the SPG, for that matter, was on tour with Prime Minister Modi when his tenure was not extended and his replacement was not appointed, and the Cabinet Committee on Appointments has not been meeting as often. There are a lot of posts vacant. The head of ISRO, that post is still vacant. So in terms of appointments, the government could have a little bit of a problem on this front.
Well, I think, when you talk about how Prime Ministers of India have dealt with senior officials, particularly those from professional cadres, one example that you may recall is the manner in which the late Prime Minister, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, had literally sacked the Foreign Secretary of the day, Mr. A.P. Venkateshwaran. Now, to that extent, I think in a democracy like India, the Prime Minister and the political apex, in this case the Defense Minister, have the appropriate space and mandate to take such decisions, to make, to appoint, and if they feel it necessary, to terminate services. But at the same time, I think in a country like India, there is something about form. Now, as you rightly said, we have had other instances where senior police officials had their services terminated. And I think personally, I would say this does not reflect very positively in terms of governance, especially when we talk about the highest levels of professional responsibility. Now take the DRDO itself. It is not as if the government has a plan B where there is a very, very clear, well thought out transition.
Right.
So to that extent, when we talk about institution building, and there is an integrity of each part of the infrastructure of governance. There is an integrity that we associate with the office of the Prime Minister of India, in as much as it devolves upon his cabinet and other parts of the structure. So the chief of the DRDO, in this case Dr. Avinash Chandar, is also the scientific advisor to the Defense Minister. We have very serious challenges, and I think the country at large is aware that India is perhaps one of the largest importers of military inventory.
Right.
The Defense Research and Development Organization plays a crucial role in enabling indigenous production. So these are deep structural issues. They need a review. And I think the way in which Dr. Chandar's services have been terminated does not augur well, both for institution building and the integrity with which governance is being conducted. Ishan?
Right. Commodore Uday Bhaskar, we'll leave it over there. Thank you very much for coming in and sharing perspective on this rather important issue and the ramifications that could have. And of course, we'll be keeping a track of the story, and we'll request for you to come again and give your views on this, because I'm sure this would be developing a lot more to come out on this sacking as far as for now is concerned. Thanks very much for coming in. All right, moving on now. Day after slamming the Modi government over the land ordinance, the Congress returned to Bhatta Parsol today to launch its protest. Attending a Mahapanchayat with farmers, Congress leader Jairam Ramesh said the ordinance is not in favour of farmers. The Congress Working Committee will meet again tomorrow to discuss the issue.
A day after the Congress attacked the Narendra Modi government over its anti-farmer land ordinance, senior party leader Jairam Ramesh attended a Mahapanchayat on Wednesday in Uttar Pradesh's Bhatta Prasol. He attended the farmers' meeting along with former Union Minister Pradeep Jain Aditya. Criticizing centre on the ordinances on land as well as coal, Jairam Ramesh said both were anti-farmer and anti-labourer.
जो कोई किसान के हित में है, के पक्ष में है, जो कोई चाहता है कि लोकतांत्रिक रूप से भूमि अधिग्रहण हो और जो चाहता है कि सही मुआवजा मिले किसान को और जो खेत मजदूर हैं जिनकी आजीविका उस अधिकृत भूमि पर निर्भर है तो वो इस अध्यादेश के खिलाफ होगा.
Congress has been alleging that the ordinance promulgated the government takes away the powers given to farmers by the Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act enacted by the UPA-2 government in 2013. The party has decided to hold rallies and agitations across the country, especially in places where land disputes are burning issues. The party wants to woo farmers and landholders against the recent tweaking of the land law through an ordinance.
ये हमारे लिए एक दिन, एक हफ्ता, एक महीना या एक साल का मुद्दा ये नहीं है. हमारे लिए ये हमारे मूल सिद्धांतों के खिलाफ जाता है. हम लड़ाई लड़ेंगे, अध्यादेश का विरोध करेंगे, लोकसभा में, राज्यसभा में, सड़कों में, किसान सभाओं में, ग्राम सभाओं में हम इसका विरोध करते रहेंगे.
Incidentally, Bhatta Prasol is the village where Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi had launched a protest against farmland acquisition in 2011. His agitation had led to the formulation of the Land Acquisition Act. Party chief Sonia Gandhi had slammed Modi on Tuesday, claiming the ordinance has destroyed the act. A meeting of the Congress Working Committee has also been called on Thursday to discuss the land ordinance issue. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the PDP today refused the National Conference's offer of support in forming the government in Jammu and Kashmir. The party also indicated that its preference still remains the BJP, which it is continuing back-channel contacts with.
A day after it wrote to the governor offering to back the PDP, the National Conference is finding itself snubbed in Jammu and Kashmir. The PDP is clearly telling it cannot dictate terms.
Now they want to come back through the back door into power and keep themselves afloat for the next 6 years. They are in any position to decide who should make a government with whom, because they are number 3rd in the tally of seats.
In his letter on Tuesday, National Conference President Omar Abdullah urged Governor N.N. Vohra not to take any decision on government formation without consulting his party. Both PDP and the BJP leaders also indicated that they are still pursuing back-channel talks.
See, under the scenario in which none of the political parties have received a clear majority in Jammu and Kashmir, it's but natural that all the political stakeholders of the state should be in dialogue with each other.
Both the PDP and the BJP failed to reach any agreement even 3 weeks after the results came, following which the governor's rule was imposed in the state last week, with the PDP insisting that cobbling up a government has never been the sole aim of the party. Some parties feel fresh elections are a distinct possibility.
To the extent that government formation requires our support, we've already offered that support to the PDP, but they have to ask for it. And if they need our help, we'll be able to help them.
Given support in written?
No, we have not given any support in writing.
There is a great constitutional crisis in the state, and ultimately we have to go for fresh election. We are holding working committee meeting this morning. We are preparing for next election.
The assembly elections threw up a fractured mandate, with the PDP taking 28 seats in the 87-member House. The BJP came close second with 25 seats, National Conference 15 and the Congress 12 seats. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, with the schedule of the assembly polls being announced for Delhi, parties are busy preparing for the electoral fight. The process of filing nomination papers began today. Candidates can file their nominations till the 21st of January. The scrutiny of nominations will take place on the 22nd of January, with the last date of withdrawal being set as the 24th of January. The polls are likely to be a direct contest between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party. The BJP State Election Committee will meet today to decide its candidates for the polls. The parties formed a 21-member election committee which will finalize and announce the names of candidates. While the AAP has already declared candidates for all the seats, the Congress has so far named 24. Faced with the challenge of regaining lost ground, the Congress has appointed former Union Minister Ajay Makar as the chairman of the party's campaign committee.
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की रैली के बाद दिल्ली में जिस प्रकार का परिवर्तन आना चाहिए था वो परिवर्तन आज विजिबल है। कुछ लोग कांग्रेस के साथ थे, कुछ बसपा के साथ थे। भारतीय जनता पार्टी की नीतियों को लेकर के, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की विचारधारा को लेकर के और दलित भारतीय जनता पार्टी की तरफ बहुत अच्छे से आकर्षित हो रहे हैं।
दिल्ली कंटोनमेंट बोर्ड के नतीजे जो कल आए हैं उसमें अगर आप देखें तो कांग्रेस पार्टी के 11% वोट फालतू पड़े हमें और आम आदमी पार्टी के 15% कम हो गए हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी के 3% कम हो गए हैं। तो ये तो दिल्ली की जनता के मूड को रिफ्लेक्ट करता है कि लोगों ने कंपेयर जब कर रहे हैं तो लोगों ने भांपना शुरू कर दिया कि किस प्रकार से आम आदमी और भाजपा दोनों की दोनों विफल रही है।
All right, we'll take a very quick break right now, but coming up on the other side, Salman Khan's not eligible to travel to the United Kingdom after the Supreme Court overturns an order suspending his conviction. More on that after the break. Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, the Supreme Court today slammed the centre over the delay in cleaning up of the Ganga. In sharp criticism to the Ganga Action Plan, the court asked whether the government would be able to complete the cleaning of the river in this term or the next. This was the second time in the last 6 months the top court pulled up the authorities in charge of cleaning up the river. The efforts to clean up the river have been on for the last 30 years with around 2,000 crore rupees already being spent. Solicitor General Ranjit Kumar told the court that the work could be completed by 2018. The centre has said that already 118 towns along the river have been identified for the setting up of sewage treatment plants. The court has directed the centre to submit a status report on the progress of these sewage treatment plants.
तमाम इंडस्ट्रीज जिनमें कोई ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट नहीं लगा है, किसी तरह का ट्रीटमेंट नहीं हो रहा है, वो इंडस्ट्रीज़ को बंद करने का आदेश दे दिया गया है और वो इंडस्ट्रीज़ को कम से कम यूपी स्टेट में सबको बंद कर दिया गया है। ऐसी इंडस्ट्रीज़ दूसरी कैटेगरी ऐसी है इंडस्ट्रीज़ की जिनमें ये एफ्लुएंट ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट तो लगा है लेकिन वो ठीक से काम नहीं कर रहा था। तो ऐसी इंडस्ट्रीज़ को 1 महीने का टाइम दिया था, तो वो टाइम अब ख़त्म हो गया है। तो उसके ऊपर वेरिफिकेशन चल रहा है कि उन्होंने कोई ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट लगाया है कि नहीं लगाया है।
Now, the Akhilesh Yadav government ordered a probe today over the 100 bodies that were found in a channel of the Ganga in Unnao district of Uttar Pradesh on Tuesday night. Politics has broken out over the matter, besides the religious dimensions on the findings.
Some 30 bodies floating on the surface of the Ganga recovered on Tuesday night. By Wednesday morning, the number had swelled to 104. One report said they would have deceased relatives of people who could not afford a detailed cremation and dumped the bodies in the river.
अब इस पर जांच करने के लिए मैंने कोतवाल सफीपुर को और अपने स्टाफ को भी कह दिया है और इस पर जांच कराकर त्वरित गति से कार्यवाही की जाएगी कि किस तरह से लाशें आई हैं। हो सकता है कि जो लाशें प्रवाहित की गई हों मरणोपरांत और जलस्तर कम होने के कारण किनारे आ गई हों।
Religious sentiments were aroused with anger at alleged desecration as the bodies were fished out. The state government ordered a detailed inquiry. This incident comes amid the thrust of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Clean Ganga campaign. It comes ahead of the Makar Sankranti festival that has added to the anger and even protests. The centre and state governments rushed in to douse the flames.
उत्तर प्रदेश में उन्नाव जिले की डीएम से भी मैंने बात की और उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार को भी मैंने सूचना भेजी है कि मेरे को इसके बारे में विशेष रूप से बताइए कि ये स्थिति का निर्माण कैसे हुआ है। और प्रधानमंत्री जी स्वयं जानकारियों के प्रति बहुत अलर्ट रहते हैं और प्रधानमंत्री जी उस रिपोर्ट को देखने के बाद हमारे विभाग को जो निर्देश देंगे हम उसका पालन करेंगे।
बहुत से लोग गरीबी में अपने परिवार के व्यक्ति मृत्यु जब होती है उसको जला नहीं पाते, गंगा में प्रवाह कर देते हैं। ये सब कुरीतियों के कारण भी हो सकता है वहां पे इकट्ठा हो गई हो। मैं तो चाहता हूँ सरकार को ऐसी व्यवस्था करना चाहिए कि लोग अपने अंतिम व्यक्ति को सही तरीके से भेज सकें।
The state government has announced that all bodies will be cremated with full rights, as parties look to give the episode a political twist, to come down on the SP government in Uttar Pradesh and attack the efficacy of the Clean Ganga campaign. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
The trouble for actor Salman Khan again in the black buck killing case. The Supreme Court has set aside a High Court suspension order on his conviction in the case. The Supreme Court bench today said Salman's plea would be considered afresh in accordance with the law. The Rajasthan High Court had stayed Salman's conviction in the case in 2013 so that he could travel to the UK for professional reasons. Under British immigration rules, any person convicted for more than 4 years is not eligible for a visa. Since the actor was convicted for 5 years, he was denied a visa by the British Embassy. Besides Khan, actors Saif Ali Khan, Sonali Bendre, Tabu and Neelam were accused of poaching near Jodhpur during the shooting of the film Hum Saath Saath Hain in 1998.
The Rajasthan government had gone against this order of stay of conviction of Rajasthan High Court. Supreme Court has rightly asked Salman's lawyers that whether Rajasthan High Court had given this stay on conviction by going into the merits of the case, or it was only interested in giving him benefits to go for his movie shoot abroad. I think this message is very clear that now they has to go back to High Court, and High Court will now think twice before giving any leverage to Salman Khan in future.
Now, oil prices have slipped to a 6-year low in Asia after major crude producers insisted that present output levels will continue despite an oversupply. US benchmark West Texas Intermediate was down to $4.55 a barrel. Brent crude dropped 43 cents to $46.16. The present fall in crude prices started in June after peaking at $100 a barrel. But the fall was accelerated from the 27th of November when the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, decided to maintain output levels. OPEC member United Arab Emirates has announced that the cartel will not slash output in the face of the price rout and waning demand. Instead, it has urged the United States to cut its production of shale oil that has been widely held responsible for the supply glut. Now, wholesale prices base inflation moved up marginally to 0.11% in December, reversing a 6-month declining trend. WPI was 0 in November. The present rise was attributed to increase in food items. Government data said food inflation in December moved to a 5-month high of 5.2%. Inflation was markedly higher in pulses, vegetables and fruits. Price rise in wheat, milk and protein-rich items like egg, meat and fish was comparatively slower. Contraction in WPI inflation for petrol was steeper at 11.96% from 9.96% in November. Similarly, decline in diesel prices during December was higher than in November. Now, a report by a Delhi-based NGO says that things are far from satisfactory on implementation of education standards in primary and secondary education, despite improvement in enrollment levels. More than half the students in Class 5 cannot read text meant for Class 2. Less than half the students in Class 8 can't solve a simple division sum. These are findings of NGO Pratham in a survey conducted in rural government schools boasting high enrollment levels. Learning levels have actually shown a decline in the last few years. In 2012, 26.3% of Class 3 children could do a 2-digit subtraction, which declined to 25.3% in 2014. In 2009, 60% children in Class 8 could read simple sentences in English. In 2014, only 47% could do that. All right, the harvest festival of Makar Sankranti was celebrated across the country today, while devotees in North India welcomed the day with a holy dip in the sacred Ganga. In South India, people celebrated it as Pongal and Bogi. In the Northeast, Bihu was celebrated, while in the West, Uttarayan was marked by flying kites.
Braving the cold weather, devotees across multiple cities thronged the ghats of river Ganga for a holy dip on the auspicious occasion of Makar Sankranti. The age-old belief that a holy dip at the Sangam on this day washes away all sins comes to life once again.
मकर संक्रांति पे सूर्योत्तरायण होते हैं। सूर्योत्तरायण होने पे इस पर्व का विशेष महत्व है, इसलिए यहाँ पे तिल का विशेष रूप से दान किया जाता है।
ये महीना दान दे वास्ते बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है, स्नान वास्ते महत्वपूर्ण है।
The use of sesame seeds holds great significance in Sankranti celebrations in the north and in various forms across India. It's celebrated as Pongal in Tamil Nadu, Bogi in Andhra Pradesh, Magh Bihu in Assam and Uttarayan in Gujarat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted the nation on the occasion of different festivals through Twitter. He said, and I quote, "The festive spirit across India is gladdening. It celebrates the diversity of India that we cherish and are extremely proud of." Prime Minister Modi, along with several of his cabinet colleagues, were present at an event organized by Union Minister Ram Vilas Paswan.
हम सब लोगों को मकर संक्रांति के दिन जो है सबको बहुत बहुत बधाई देते हैं और जीवन के पथ पर आगे बढ़ते रहें, यही हमारी क्या शुभकामना है।
The film fraternity also welcomed the day with much joy. Actor Amitabh Bachchan participated in the popular kite festival in Ahmedabad, while a string of other celebrities shared wishes on Twitter. Sankranti marks the official end of winter and the beginning of spring. It also represents the beginning of the farming season. The farming community sees a special stake in its significance. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The French satirical newspaper Charlie Hebdo has released its first issue since last week's attack that left 10 journalists dead at its Paris office. The issue, which was created by the magazine's surviving staffers using workspace and equipment provided by others, is out with 3 million copies, well above its normal 60,000.
The much-anticipated edition of French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo is on sale, a week after gunmen murdered 10 journalists at the magazine's offices in Paris. 3 million copies of the magazine have been printed, way beyond its usual print run of 60,000. It was an emotional moment for the surviving members of the magazine who released the issue.
Aussi remercier évidemment toutes les institutions, tous les anonymes, toutes les personnalités qui nous ont remerciés, qui sont Charlie.
Encore Charlie. Je suis Charlie. Je suis flic. Je suis juif. Mais je suis aussi musulman. Parce que les terroristes qui nous ont attaqués.
The new edition features a cartoon of a weeping Prophet Muhammad on its cover. The Prophet is shown holding a sign that says, "Je suis Charlie" or "I am Charlie," the hashtag that became a rallying cry of solidarity in the aftermath of the attack. Above the carriage.
All right, on that note, we'll wrap it up for now. But thanks so much for watching. The news and updates continue right here on Rajya Sabha TV.